Welcome back to another episode of First Use, and in today's video I'm going to go through Sydney Swans inside forward 50 boundary throw-ins. And what you saw yesterday is not the first. They've been doing it all year, and I've got another clip that I'm going to show you against the Western Bulldogs. But this just shows you that as a side, they focus and they've done a lot of homework on the structure of the inside forward 50s. So we're going to run through a couple of clips, and at the end I'm going to go through the whiteboard and just give you a few demonstrations, a few ideas that you could run in those running patterns. But that one yesterday against the Saints by Errol Gulden coming around on the left foot was a great set play, great tap. At the end of the day, the ruck has to win the tap, but you have the structure in place to actually execute that. And when it comes off, and how crucial that goal was, it can give you the 4 points. So let's get in the clips now. So I've only got two clips to show, and this was not so long ago against the Western Bulldogs at the SCG. But I'm going to go through, even though we only got two clips, I'm going to go through how you structure it up inside forward 50. So obviously the Swans are going right of screen, but I've paused it here because that's Isaac Heaney who ends up kicking the goal from the boundary line, and in here is Errol Gulden. So what they like to do, and you've got to understand that when the ball's inside your forward 50, you can dictate terms a little bit. So you can actually see it right now as a little bit of a horseshoe. And a lot of clubs like to do this. They like to have a bit of a horseshoe, but what essentially they're trying to do is they're trying to create space here for the wraparound left foot, which you saw in the St Kilda game. And what they also are trying to do is when they have these little blocks here, they're trying to create space on the front side. And Sydney have really practiced this, have gone through a lot of structural work, a lot of organisation to actually execute that. Even though they've got the +1 there, the key for them is to either hit it here short, over the back, or in this area here. They completely eliminate the +1 because of their hit zones, and it's very structured really, really well. So in this particular instance, you'll actually see Gulden try to go this way, and the reason for that is because he's a left footer. But the other hit they like to do is in space, and it's a great finish by Isaac Heaney, but what they're trying to do is get someone on the right foot to go this way. And they've done it quite a bit this year. So if we just roll the tape, it's a wonderful hit. So you can see the organisation that's happening here, but you can also see how much space these players out here actually come back to create the space here. So really good play here from the Western Bulldogs player, but they're essentially just coming back because they dictate in terms. And then these two here, which are in line with the goals, are sort of off centre a little bit. So they're trying to create this space. So the hit is brilliant. Big hit, uses his body really well. If I just get him fast forwarded here, there's Errol Gulden. So he would have been wrapping around on the left foot. That's how it's on that side. Perfect scenario. And then there's a little block allowing for Isaac Heaney to come through, and he ends up kicking this from the boundary line. But you can see the structure they have in place inside forward 50 that allows them to hit into these spots. They dictate in terms, and that's what it should be. When you're inside your forward 50, you should dictate terms against the opposition. You should create space in the corridor. You should have space towards the boundary line, and essentially, if you've got a left foot coming this way, and on the other side, a right footer coming the other way, that's how you should structure it. You should have it inside forward 50 as a really good set play for you. And then he goes and kicks a great goal. But because the other thing is too to keep in mind, because these players here, like I said before, are set off sort of off centre, if you will, they leave the goal square free, and he's able to dribble it through. So really good play. Now we fast forward to yesterday's game against the Saints, and there it is. Isaac Heaney's in that spot. There he is, there. And Errol Gulden's off to the right. But the important part here is that these players here, and then Jordan comes into play in this. They stand back. So Hill is in two minds. Do I cover the space? Which, if you're defending this, you just sit someone there. You just have someone there, let them come to you. But because they pull themselves back, the Swans players, in that horseshoe I showed you previously, it creates this uncertainty for Hill, but it also creates a space for him to come into. But what I also love about here, look at Rowbottom. He wants to go and put the block on. He's not even worried. It's a really selfless role. He plays this so well. He always gets in the ability, gets in the spots to block. Papley does this really well as well. If he's not on his non-preferred side, they like to get him running, but he instigates a lot of block, which is really good. But at the end of the day, you need to win the hit. You need to get the hit. You need to execute this, and he's been in great form lately. Awesome to see. And I love the variety of taps. Not only in centre bounce, but around the ground. He's been able to hit it over his head, hits it forward, as you saw in that previous one, smash it forward. And it's a wonderful set play. So he knows that Errol Gulden's coming. They've already made eye contact. They've already set. He's not moving. In the case that he does go or it gets hit forward, there's a block from Rowbottom because he's offside. So look at Rowbottom. Not even facing the contact, where the ball's going. He's coming over to lay a block. But this is the wonderful tap. Just to get space on his opponent and then to flick it like that. But then there's also the Warner comes in as a potential block. Can't see it on the screen. But look how far Jordan is back. So it puts Hill in two minds and creates that space. And all he needs is a little gap. And Hill nearly gets there. But because Jordan had come back so far, that allowed it enough space for him to come through and kick the goal. So it's a great, wonderful setup. And I love when it's inside forward in Swans forward 50, if you're the opposition, you have to try and smother the corridor and all those little exits that I showed you. So that just shows you how important it is to actually have a structure inside forward 50. It's so important. Watching the Gold Coast Suns on the weekend and against Collingwood have a set play. All the clubs have set plays. If you don't have a set play set up inside your forward 50, then you're wasting opportunities, especially if you've got a ruckman that can tap it either way, even a centre forward that does the rucks. Okay, so let's get in the whiteboard and I'll show you how you can set it up and why they set this up and how they set it up effectively. So say you're going right at screen. So this is your forward line. When you have a boundary thrown or a ball up, what you essentially try to say there's a boundary thrown here. You dictate terms a lot. Try and dictate terms as much as you can. Ideally, you love a right footer to come this way. That's how, and that's why when you saw that clip, that was Errol Gulden coming around on his left foot. The key to an effective stop play, in my opinion, not only is that the ruck to win the tap and you run a few blocks and stuff like that, but it's also the guys on the outer side. And you saw that with the Sydney Swans, how they're able to create this U-shape facing their goals, but it's about the width that they have. And you want to create space for your players to run into. When they had their setup against the Bulldogs, because their players were actually way back here and the stop play was here, they dictated terms, but they sucked their opponents back to create this space here. So what they had is they had space here and they had space here. So 3 opportunities to create a scoring opportunity, which is really, really powerful. You need to have those because in the sense that the ruck gets turned around, he's in different areas. That's what they try to set up. But most importantly, what I love is having these players in the outer ring go back to create space, and they can do it late as well. It's not hard to actually go behind the context and then suck back out because he's creating the space for others to work into. And then the other thing I loved about their forward structure was they were isolating their +1 that the opposition had. So really focus on forward stop plays. It is really important and can be really crucial to winning a game like you saw against St Kilda yesterday. it was a really well drilled set play that they had the Swans set up. So it's something to focus on, something to work on with your side. But you can the key is dictate terms. It's in your forward line. They're going to try and man up on you, the opposition. Try and dictate terms as much as you can.